You're most welcome to our free online school, Stobridge Institute. This time around, we'll be discussing about identifying and engaging stakeholders. Stakeholders are people who are involved in a particular project or are affected by a particular project. They can either be internal stakeholders or external stakeholders. Internal stakeholders are the ones who are found within your project team. Externals are the ones who are found outside your project team. Stakeholders can either support your project and your project can be very successful. They can also deny your project and they can fight against your project and your project can also fail. We can identify these particular stakeholders by doing the following. Number one, brainstorming. This is where you sit down with your team and try to list down the potential stakeholders of your project. You can also do it by doing what we call stakeholder mapping. This is where you are trying to see the power and the interest which a particular stakeholder has in that particular project. So you can have some stakeholders who have got high power with high interest. You may have some others with high power with low interest. You can also identify them by doing consultation. This is where you are trying to meet somebody who is an expert. And that one, upon looking your project, he or she might give you the potential stakeholders of your project. You can also review a past document of similar project which you are doing. So that particular past document may contain some potential stakeholders who are involved in your project. So stakeholder mapping looks like this one. On this side, I've got power. Here I'm talking of interest. So if I've got a certain stakeholder who has got high power with high interest, you need to make sure that you highly engage that particular stakeholders. An example of these particular stakeholders may be investors of a particular project. They have got high power because they can make decisions for your project. They have got high interest because the results of that particular project is going to affect them. You may have a certain stakeholder who has got high power with low interest. So if you have got these particular stakeholders, you just need to make sure that you satisfy them. Why? Because these stakeholders, they can make decisions for your project. But the results of that project is not going to directly affect them. An example can be project funders. They have got the capacity of funding your project, but sometimes the results of that particular project will not directly affect them. You may have some other stakeholders who have got low power, but they have got high interest. Make sure that you are communicating with them regularly. Example can be community members. Community members, they might have low power because they cannot make high decisions for your project. But they have got high interest because the results of that particular project is going to affect them. From there, you can also have got some stakeholders with low power as well as low interest. So these ones, you need to communicate them when necessary. So these can be examples of like observers. They don't have much influence on your project. They cannot make much decisions, and the results are not going to directly affect them. But these ones can be useful because they can be guiding you on how best you can conduct your project. We also have got a stakeholder heat map. So a stakeholder heat map has got these particular three key elements. On this side, I've got stakeholders. Stakeholder A, B, up to D. Here I've got heat level. So a heat level is denoted by colors. So you can see that this particular green color is denoting that heat level of that particular stakeholder is low. Then here it is denoting that this one it is low. This one is very low. This one is what? Low. This one it is denoting that the heat level of that particular stakeholder is average. Then this one is noting that it has got high heat level. Here very high. So for example, let's say we have got stakeholder A. In terms of level of support, if you see that the level of support for that one, according to the heat level, it is average, then you're going to denote it with the color of average. If you see that stakeholder B, in terms of engagement priority, if you see that the engagement priority, the way you are supposed to engage this one, you are supposed to higher engage him or her, then you see at your heat level the color, then you're going to give engagement level, you're going to give it the color of high. Let's say on stakeholder D, you see that the level of impact on your project, stakeholder D has got a very high level. Then you are going to check on heat level to say high level has got what color. Then you see that it has got this red color and you're going to give it that red color. So that is how you as a project manager, you can be able to draw a stakeholder heat map based on level of support, strategic importance, risk level, engagement priority, as well as the impact which that particular stakeholder has on your project. We can engage stakeholders by understanding what their needs are and their expectations through conducting interviews, surveys, as well as meetings. We can also engage them by having those particular regular updates, updating them on your project regularly. You can also do them by involving them in making decisions of your project. You can also engage them by managing their expectations. This is where you are trying to meet your deadlines and meeting the deliverables of that particular project. We can address concerns as well as feedback by doing the following. Number one, you should be an active listener. So if you're an active listener, that will avoid frustrations from the stakeholders. Another one, you should be a promptly responder. So you should give instant response whenever you have been asked on how your project is faring. Another one, you should be able to collaborate with your stakeholders on solutions whenever you are finding challenges with your project. So stakeholders can be engaged using the following strategies. Number one, giving them regular updates. You can be using emails, giving them hard copy reports, and having frequent meetings with these people. You can also use a strategy where you are trying to build trust. This is where you are giving them all the possible risks of your project, how you're solving them, and how you're dealing with different challenges on your project. You can also create a document which is a stakeholder registry, where you clearly stipulate the roles, the interests, and the communication preferences which you prefer as a project manager on that particular project. You should also try your best to maintain a relationship by frequently communicating with these particular stakeholders. Thank you very much. See you in the next lesson.